Hi, very warm welcome. Gene from Avstar. Good afternoon. Guys, over the next couple of days, we'll be trying our very best to get you the latest magnetic pole position. But meanwhile, I wanted to touch on this, what GB News are talking about today with regards to migrants. And I just first of all want to say this is not just a problem of the UK or Europe, the invasion of migrants, from all over, Europe. This is a problem in the United States and Canada. And I like Trump's idea. He said, you're going to have these people back, or we're going to put tariffs on you. And, the countries are saying, okay, we don't want to be, having massive tariffs put on us, so we'll take the migrants back. Why isn't Keir Starmer as strong as that? Yeah, there's a couple of, just a few statistics. So we have 1 million migrants come into just the UK last year. I think the ONS report on this was higher, and I reckon they're playing it safe with the figure of 1 million. But let's go with what they said. They had 1 million migrants come into the country, and Keir Starmer is saying that we've got a shortfall I know it's a higher figure than this, but we need to build 1.5 million homes for people. But do the math. It's going to take Keir Starmer, if he's really pulling the whip out on this, at least 3 years. First of all, he's got to secure the sites where these properties have got to be built, and then they've got to be built. So, to try and get 1.5 million houses in 3 years is just like them trying to achieve the net zero by 2030. Just isn't going to happen. But the problem is, go back to when I first started this little, whinge about this. 1 million migrants come into the country every year, and we've got a shortfall of 1.5 million houses, which is going to take 3 years. But in 3 years, we will have another 3 million migrants in this country, if they haven't got a grip. And now they're saying, the problem is securing sites to build these, and we don't want to, if we can help it, go on greenbelt, which is countryside, if you're outside our country. So I think common sense needs to be addressed here. Let's look at really overpopulated countries and let's copy their principle. For instance, China have got a lot of high-rise buildings, some of them with 50, 60 floors in them. Let's build apartments like that, because they won't take up a big footprint. We won't have to be using up all the countryside, because they reckon we're going to be at 70 million people and over by 2030. There is that many people in this country that now our population has surpassed France. And France has nearly twice the amount of land than what we do. And we've got a bigger population. And they're telling us there that we need to sacrifice more of that countryside and greenbelt so that we can build more and more houses. Let's get, real like China has, and build high-rise places, affordable apartments that people can afford to buy. And, building it on the same footprint, a couple of hundred apartments, means that you ain't taking up the greenbelt. There is no common sense being used in our country, or in, from what I see in Europe and the United States and a lot of other countries like Canada and Australia. There's no common sense being used here. And why I rarely don't like to talk about politics? Because in the last 30 years that I've been aware of, some of the things that go on in politics, nothing has changed, and nothing equally has got any better. So it just frustrates me that, these politicians are saying these things, but they never, live up to it. I mean, we've got a cost of living crisis right now in this country, and I know it's the same throughout the world. And I could show you the dry Baltic Index, and that is an index of cargo that is being shipped round. Have a look, guys. In fact, let me get it up for you. I'll show you. It's absolutely almost unbelievable. And by the way, so is this as well. It's at 36 trillion now, the national debt in the United States. And Donald Trump wants to spend £500 billion on artificial intelligence. I want to ask people, what have we got from artificial intelligence at the moment that has been worthwhile spending anything in that quantity of money? 500 billion is a $500 billion that he wants to spend of taxpayers' money on another artificial intelligence. We've already got Chat GDP. or GTP or whatever it's called, from OpenAI, and they've just released one in China, and now Trump wants to open up another one. The consumption of energy that it will require to run it will be phenomenal. But I think deep down they've lost all the traction on CO2. Sorry, I was trying to find the Baltic Index, weren't I? So I think they've lost the traction now on the argument to reduce CO2, and I think they've passed it over to now to something else, and that something else is artificial intelligence. It's the elite's way of squandering massive amounts of money, of taxpayers' money that they've raised through the GDP, and it's nothing short of the next scam that's in line. You notice the amounts of money just keeps getting greater and greater. But here's your dry Baltic Index. Look where we are right now on that chart, and this is going back to 1990, let's say. It goes back a little bit further than that, but look where we are right now, and that tells you how well our global economy, not just the UK or America or Canada, that's global economic trade transfer. And if it's low, it means that nobody is selling anything, and if they're not selling anything, then their GDP is shrinking. It's precipitating. So, this is what annoys me. There's no common sense. The politicians don't listen. And you get people like Sakir Starmer's second in command, that Angela, makes my blood boil, because when she talks, she's cringing, knowing exactly whatever she's talking about is not going to be met with a resolution of some sorts. They just laugh at us. And it's we could go across the range with everything. I've noticed on YouTube today that when you do a search on YouTube using YouTube search tool, you're not getting the same things back. They've changed recently, the algorithm. I'm sure they have, because let's say you do a search, you just type in the word Ukraine, you get all the latest news on Ukraine. Or Russia, you get all the latest news on what's going on with that little conflict, or Gaza, or Israel. I used to do my searches like that, and I'd get lots of interesting things to read up on them or watch the videos on them. You're not getting them no more. What I am seeing is a lot of news media outlets like CNN, BBC, other very popular Rupert Murdoch platforms get the privilege of the algorithm now, as opposed to the individual. So what they are slowly doing is pushing out the individual people that report on news and other interesting matters, and they're only giving you again now back in one bottleneck, and that's coming from mainstream media. They're just totally ruining YouTube, if you ask me. They've with all what we've had since the pandemic, with the the silencing of certain words that you're not allowed to talk about. You're not allowed to talk about virology, where the virus first began, and a lot of stuff like that, because they're just like the Nazis were in the 1930s, blocking it. Or you talk about it, you simply get a warning or a strike, and even worse, if you're a repeat offender, you're going to lose your channel. So, this is what we're going to get more of. And this is one of the reasons I said in 2025 things were just going to get much worse across the whole range. If you think food isn't going to go up, you're wrong. It's going to go up again. It's going to probably go up another 25, 50, maybe in some cases 100% in this year alone. And that's just like your energy costs. They are absolute lunatics that run our governments. I could go onto the national grid, and I know because of the size of the screen that I've chosen to show you, we're not going to get everything in there that's on this page, but you'll get, you can look at that there, that pie chart, and the blue is other sources of energy production, like biomass, nuclear. You've got the green that's being produced, which is 32%, but again, I haven't cherry-picked this, but 33%, nearly 34% of the energy is being created by fossil fuels. And then this is going to be unsustainable, and I'm glad to hear, one of the things that Donald Trump said, we're going to get rid of what he called windmills, but actually he's talking about wind generators, and because they're just not sustainable, and neither is solar panels. When you get severe storms, as we've seen last year in 2024 in the UK, it tore up the field of solar panels. Complete destruction of the majority of them in the field. The money it'll cost to do that repair on that. We saw on the wind generators, the blades actually come off. We've seen them set on fire. This is not renewable like they talk about. If you look at the size of the concrete platform that they put these wind generators on, I think it's, off the top of my head, over 1,000 tons of concrete. And we all know how environmentally friendly concrete is, let alone when you stick them in open countryside on agricultural land. What happens when you decide, I don't want the wind turbine there no more? You've got to dig up a huge block of concrete, and what do you do with that? The blades are made from exotic materials like carbon fibre and other composites. What are you going to do with the blades when they're you have to replace that wind turbine? And do you get value for money over the period of the wind turbine's lifespan? That's the other thing. People, you don't know what's coming, and you don't need a crystal ball to work it out. You just need to sit there and think about a few things. All your EVs, who's going to buy one of those in another 5 years now? Because they're getting a bit older. But when the mileage distance goes down from 320 miles to 120 miles, who's going to want to buy one of those expensive vehicles? No one. I think what they should have done was not pushed for 100% electric vehicles. They should have went with hybrids, because hybrids can charge up the battery even if they're not plugged in at the roadside, so that saves us all having to wait. If you want to make it clean, and you can always, on a lot of these cars, you can switch over to electric if you want to drive them through the towns and cities, so they're nice and clean. If that's what you want, good air quality, buy a hybrid. Don't buy a Tesla. And yeah, guys, I've had my little rant, and like I say, over the coming days we'll be sourcing the data for you for the latest position on the magnetic North Pole. And the only other thing for me to say is, guys, link down there. Would be awesome to start this new year off with a bit more support, because last year was just diabolical. So there's a link down there if you want to help support us. And come on, guys, join us on Patreon as well. It doesn't cost a lot, but I do hope that you appreciate that we are the only observatory producing the magnetic North Pole position for you, and other related topics on environment. So I bid you a good day. You take care of your loved ones as always. Bye for now.